One of these teams is about to punch their ticket to the LCS Championship. You can see it all happen live in the Windy City. As a reminder, we're going to Chicago there. The United Center will be the venue, so visit Ticketmaster.com to grab your tickets for the LCS Championship weekend at that United Center. We'll have a fan fest, we'll have League of Legends. It'll be great, and we have just another championship around the corner with the next generation of talent competing in the Proving Grounds Finals next Monday through Wednesday, live right here, actually, in the LCS Arena. Get your tickets now at TIXR.com to see the future stars of North America battle for the crown. Get tickets. That's it. Buy your tickets.
Team Liquid 100 Thieves Academy playing in that Proving Grounds. Talk about it.
It's actually crazy. We've talked about how much that the LCS teams have played against each other. 3 best-of-5s in the last 2 splits. The last 2 splits, TL Academy and 100 Thieves Academy have played in Proving Grounds Finals. On Monday, they also play another best-of-5 against each other. So intrinsically linked, these two orgs are competing near the top.
Yeah, and I mean, it's crazy that we're still going through the series. It felt like it was all wrapped up. You saw the LCS hype man who like throws out the poros into the crowd and stuff like that. He gave away the bucket after game 2, heading into game 3. He gave the bucket to a fan because it seemed like he just assumed there's no way Team Liquid was going to bounce back. But indeed, we're here again. He had to use a paint bucket this time to hold the poros because somehow the series still going.
The bucket diff. That's when you know the faith has left from our lovely Daniel. What has not happened, though, is the crowd here who wants to stick around for the full 5 games. Ready for some more Team Liquid wins.
Lot of the let's just watch some good League of Legends fans in the house. And there's the prop bucket.
Hey, adding it.
Yeah, I mean, the fans, I think, felt like a big part of potentially why Team Liquid still had some momentum in that series, despite looking pretty dead through the first 2 games. The fans did not give up hope. They were cheering them on. They were loud.
So finally, Aphelios is through. But so is Zeri, and so are both Enchanters. So curious what these teams think the most valuable thing is. Mark, you and I were also discussing whether or not we'd see a 1-2-3 Zillion ban. We do not, but looks like first pick Vi, and that's to me a dare for Han Sama to play Zeri again.
I think it's a dare for that. I think it also worked with the Zillions. Maybe they're thinking that they can break up some of that combination based off what they just paired the jungle with it. We'll have to see.
You thought it was going to be Zeri? No, Seraphine. This is a bottom lane that Team Liquid has played before to much success. They actually managed to bully the lane as Seraphine Nautilus and then still have very strong team fighting. So power pick, technically Seraphine could flex, but I'm almost certain that's the bot lane duo for Team Liquid.
Super different draft already from what we saw before. Some of the takeaways coming for 100 Thieves. We'll see if they go back to Ahri. It has been good historically for Abbedagge. You'd probably say his best champion this split, despite missing some charms in the previous game. I think, you know, he should be unperturbed by that. Go right back to it if you think that's your best chance.
So technically they could play Zillion now, but I don't think it's a very good angle because it's not comboing with the Vi or anything crazy like that. Sylas would also be a good pick. That's a trade that these guys did in both games 1 and 2 where they played both sides of the matchup. Let's see if they go mid lane.
Oh, this is left up, by the way. I forgot about this one.
This is interesting because the Swain have been getting banned out in the 4-5 position of bans by the team that was playing against the Seraphine. So this time, Team Liquid do not want to lose this champion and take it earlier on in the draft. This also gives them 2 bans to, you know, set up some more stuff for jungle, for 100 Thieves to try and get rid of anything that the Swain might want to play with. And they were one of the people who did enjoy the Seraphine Swain comps.
Yeah, I mean, this is the 1-2-3 in terms of what their mid lane and bot lane was in their FlyQuest series. They actually played Seraphine, Swain, Nautilus. It was with Trundle and Renekton to round out the team comp. They obviously can't go with Trundle, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did throw in a Renekton at some point to go with this just really beefy team comp. Just take a bunch of mixed bruisers, throw them with Seraphine, and go to town. That's the strategy.
Yeah, I mean, post 6, you are just this unstoppable meatball in a lot of cases. For 100 Thieves, they do have some of the tools to deal with it already, like high burst and pick comp potential. You might want to see them index even further into that because it's very hard to win just DPS-wise against this team that's constantly getting heals and shields and speed-ups that multiple members are going to take.
Yeah, I'm already at minute 0 here in Champ Select, mentally preparing for extremely long team fights.
Yes.
Like, the game is very different when these comps that can sustain for so long and fight for so long are against each other. Ooh, a 100 Thieves Aatrox ban, not wanting to lose it to Bwipo, happy to take it away from Ssumday, who has been stellar all series.
Yeah, Revenge talked about this a little bit on the desk, but Seraphine Aatrox is a very powerful combination of champions, so I can understand 100 Thieves won game 2 with that combo, not wanting to give it over for free to TL.
Does feel a little bad, though, given how well Ssumday has been playing on it. Kind of checkmating them in draft a little bit, saying you have to not just ban out this champion, but it's banning it away from your player.
Okay.
Hello, Nocturne.
Wow. So this is interesting to me because it doesn't quite fit the exact mold that the draft have been going so far. The Death Ball comp, you kind of want to stay grouped up as 5, and Nocturne can sometimes end up ahead of the rest of the team. There's no easy follow-up right now. Should you go flying in as the Nocturne, you can run in there with Seraphine speed-ups, but you're not instantly on top of them right away.
I actually really hate it. At first glance. We'll see if it works, but a lot of times with Nocturne, you like immediate AoE CC.
Yeah.
So that's why like Nocturne Row is really good. That's why Nocturne Cannon is super popular. But this Team Liquid team comp is very much sustained team fighting, which isn't Nocturne's specialty, but it does have the ability to get maybe a finishing blow on a Zeri who's just jumped on the outside of the fight. It can go in with that Sett. The Bwipo has hard carried again with so far this split. But to me, the 1-2-3 of Team Liquid makes a lot of sense, and the 4-5 are pulling off a different task.
Also, very different matchup this time. He played the Sett into Gwen and kind of just got control of the lane and destroyed her. And as a carry champion, Gwen from behind becomes nothing. Ornn, excuse me, is a champion that's always somewhat relevant with the CC that he brings. Very different draft from game 3. I thought we would see micro adjustments about maybe you ban the Zillion, maybe you pick this away, that away. They both just went straight back to the drawing board, coming out with 2 very different drafts.
Yeah, you can see that little notebook that they have on stage. They've turned many pages. It's not like they just turned to the next page of the draft. They've turned like 15 through and like, okay, this is what we're doing now.
Back of the book.
Seraphine.
Well, I guess the back of the book they did last time. They like found Bjergsen's Zillion and it fell out. They're like, okay, cool. We'll pick that. Fun one here, though. I know FBI has played Zeri before. In my head, like, he hasn't played that many Zeri games. Certainly not recently, but obviously she's kind of been taking over series recently. So it'd be kind of funny for us to get all the way back there, especially if we go the distance, because FBI couldn't take over on the early game champion. Now wants to try and take over on the late game, but...
Correct. And also, Zeri's a champion, especially when there's an enchanter you can pair with it, that many teams have just not been allowing to happen. But as the blue side team, 100 Thieves didn't even prioritize it early. They actually dared Team Liquid to take it. They've given it to Hansama twice. So in terms of like the Zeri wars, 100 Thieves is definitely winning that mind game. And in my opinion, like if you just have Lulu Zeri, you have a chance to win any game because of the hyper scaling ability that that combo has. We'll see how this one turns out.
Crowd still juiced for Team Liquid.
Keep it up.
Have to see if they can do it.
It's gonna be a long day.
Second time on red side here. They won the previous game on red side. Gonna have to see if they can do it again.
Yeah, loser of the previous game always gets to select the side. So Team Liquid wanted to be red. This last game, 100 Thieves wanted to be blue. So clearly saw something that they wanted to make a big pivot to. And they have a lot of different things here. So we talked about it. Ornn is the big change for Ssumday. They banned out the Aatrox. They put him on a huge team fighter. This was their bread and butter in the Summer Split regular season because they could almost always, if the game was close, group up around objectives, win fights, and take control of the game that way. They also have the Zeri Lulu, which is a hyperscaling combo we've seen throughout the world. But they've given over some very powerful champions as well.
It's also interesting to see the Yuumi, just kind of whatevered away a little bit here. Zeri, Yuumi can be a little bit more prone to all-ins. I think the Lulu gives you a little bit more laning presence. And with the Ornn on the weak side, top side, you expect a lot of focus on the bot side for 100 Thieves here. And when you look at how the previous game was lost in some sense by them, it was skirmishes at Rift Herald, where Abbedagge got double bombed twice in a row. And that was a situation that if you just pick more scaling and team fighting, you're not necessarily doomed if those early Rift Herald fights go poorly. So when we came into the day, we were talking about how teams had drafted away from what we historically knew them as, and 100 Thieves was more the late game team. Here, they've pretty much gone back to it. Yeah,
to get back to that a little bit, throughout the Summer Split regular season, 100 Thieves was a very average early game team statistically, but then still went 14-4, winning a huge percentage of their games. Team Liquid was the best early game team in the league, but still only won an average amount of games compared to how good their early game was. So haven't been able to put things together as a team. We've seen a lot of that already in this series, right? In game 1, even though 100 Thieves did draft early, they closed it out super well. Game 2, they outscaled. And game 3, Team Liquid went back to scaling, still won early game. So that's the strategy. If you can pick what you want, pick better scaling in an early game, would be what Team Liquid has kind of tried to go for in these last 2.
Well, Bwipo counterpick certainly working out in the early stages of the level. Been playing past the wave extremely aggressively, trying to keep Ssumday punished. But as we know, Ornn especially, and Ssumday as a player, happy to play weak side. He's gonna have to. Also curious to Jatt's kind of point in draft. How is this Nocturne's gonna play out? To me, it's kind of like Vi with extra steps. Not sure how I feel about it, but
24 health.
Hey, look at that.
I love the Swain health stack. Anything that can permanently stack anything feels great to me. Nasus, Veigar,
Yeah.
Swain. But yeah, I think the
Missed the cannon.
-1s in chat.
Yeah, -1 legacy points for missing the cannon.
I think what you were just saying though about where the Nocturne goes is interesting to me. That was kind of the curveball that caught Jatt and I in the draft as well. That doesn't seem to match the rest of the kind of meatball identity that this team has. As we see a gank coming in.
Uh-oh. Front door gank here for Closer. Big damage on the Bjergsen. He's low and he's dead.
He did get the W though, so max health.
Hey.
When it
That's
comes
huge.
back to life.
That is huge for 100 Thieves, actually, being able to not only get the flash, but not burn any summoner spells themselves. So that's a repeat gank they can pull off when Ahri hits level 6 for a possible guaranteed kill if Bjergsen tries to do anything in mid lane.
Yeah, that's a disaster setup there for the Swain early on. Just a relatively low range farming champion as well, so it's going to be hard to not fall to another gank. You're going to have to see the Nocturne kind of set him up. Just Abbedagge
so
landing
good.
a charm.
I can't believe he didn't flash it.
Yeah, and then also Closer being like, no, I am in range. I
Max
don't need
range
to
here.
flash for this. So patient yet effective. And then Bjerg flashing, thinking he might be able to survive, but still dying is the worst case scenario.
Yeah, to clarify, I was surprised that Closer didn't flash. When he pointed that out, I was like, really? Surely that's the play with the early level Vi gank, but gonna hold on to it for perhaps a repeat, as you're alluding to. And good stuff for Abba and Closer. Definitely wanting to be much more proactive in the mid game here with this pairing.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was saying about the Poppy in the previous game. Just doesn't speak to me as a closer-style champion. Even when he built the Turbo Chem Tank in the first game, it was still about Vi kind of being the one calling the shots, starting fights, and scrapping. He is such a force for 100 Thieves. In a lot of ways, the engine, I think, for their team. Even if, maybe FBI is the late game carry or Abba's an important part of the setup, it does feel a lot of ways like Closer's the one who picks the fights. And even in the comms, you can hear how vocal he is.
You can see the Seraphine Nautilus, though, still getting push in this bottom lane. Another reason that Ahri gank was so important because they need to have prio somewhere. You could see Sett was actually farming behind Ssumday's turret at one point. Hansam and CoreJJ are pushed, so the only place 100 Thieves can actually play the game right now is through mid.
I think it also makes a question of what Team Liquid want to do, because presumably Santorin's thinking maybe I can go top and play with that Sett, but now do I need to recover the Swain?
This is going to be a good chunk of damage.
Nice bit of timing. Respectful flash, but I think a necessary one there for Abba.
Yeah, potentially could have got chain CC with a claw by Bjergsen there if
Yes.
he did not end up flashing away. So respectful there, not 6 yet. Critical timing, because if you make that gank a little bit later, that's just an Ahri ult.
Ooh, it looks like they're going to be able to take the dragon off of this pathing by Santorin and the bot push as well. I think Mountain Drake is probably the best dragon for the way Team Liquid wants to play. They just need the burst resilience from Mountain Drake, and then they have the sustained damage from the Swain and the Seraphine. So this is very ideal for TL right now.
Only wish it was a soul, but otherwise, very good
Sure.
for them.
Yeah?
Able to stay beefy and get the most out of resist.
What a difference bot prio makes. Seen in so many of these games, in fact, all of them so far. 100 Thieves with the pushing bottom lane or pushing lanes in general, able to get that dragon. This time it's Team Liquid, nice and early on the objective.
It's just such a cool meta right now, too, because we thought the entire identity of bot lane had kind of become, do you go the early game route with Kalista Draven or the late game route of Sivir Zeri? And in this series, I think we have seen more available strategically than just that. So it's been very nice to watch.
We've seen Senna Seraphine, we've seen Seraphine Nautilus, and we've even seen multiple Aphelios bans. So there's still an unspotted strategy so far in this series. Just a lot of mind games going on between these two bottom lanes, for sure.
Closer approaching 6. Abba is 6 now as well, so maybe there's something we can do here. Bjergsen's flash isn't going to be off cooldown for that much longer, though, and I imagine he will play with the needed respect from a potential gank. Santorin feeling groovy. Just takes out that crab and walks back to the blue buff.
Yeah, that's such a nice early game. Being able to get that first dragon against Vi while you're still farming up on Nocturne trying to get level 6. Yes, his mid laner did die to 1 gank, but that's not a jungler's fault. That's not a jungler's responsibility here for Santorin. He needs to...
Oh, I can make it with the jungler's responsibility when I'm in solo queue.
Yeah. Santorin, get level 6.
Why weren't you there? Why didn't I have wards? Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you make me get hit by all those skill shots?
I think this is an interesting game from a strategic perspective of when the power spikes come in, because we've seen side lane pressure for Team Liquid in top and bot. They're at 6, I would think, have a bit scarier of a team with the Swain ult, Seraphine ult, and all these coming through.
Yeah.
But then you have the Masterwork, Ornn items, and Zeri. I'm wondering when all the power spikes will make 100 Thieves feel like it's time to start contesting Dragon Stag, because presumably Team Liquid is okay playing it a little slow as long as they're controlling these neutral objectives.
I think so too. We definitely haven't seen these combinations of champions fight each other, so I can't say for sure who has the better scaling. My gut tells me that Team Liquid is going to have a large period of this game where they're stronger, but if it does get to that like 45-minute state where Zeri has 5 items and everyone's masterworked, then I think 100 Thieves would outscale. But a large portion of this game, I think 100 Thieves is going to have to be opportunistic with the way they fight, because if it's a straight up 5v5, I think TL will have a stronger chance.
You saw it there on screen for a bit. The FTX total gold is great news for Abbedagge, who got that first blood kill, so it does have a little bit of extra gold, but that's honestly the whole lead, and not really much of a lead for 100 Thieves. This has been pretty quiet, as Team Liquid and these teams in general definitely much more concerned about the objectives, and Team Liquid are very early to these.
Yeah, I think this speaks kind of what we were just talking about. Team Liquid have control in the early game and stronger 5v5s at 6. 100 Thieves don't even blink. They just stay completely bot lane as Team Liquid ran up to the top side. Seraphine leaking back bot lane. This is one of the times you have to be careful. When you commit that many resources and you half roam up to mid and go back bot early, you can sometimes get dove. Not going to be the case here. Gets back to lane safely, but FBI was able to grab 1 plate. Might get 2. Not the case.
Yeah, really nice early game here from Team Liquid. They get the first Drake without bloodshed. They get the first Rift Herald, and they only sacrifice 1 plate into the bottom lane. And then additionally, the 200 local gold that Herald gives now is huge. That they can get a dive and actually kill Ornn here, it's massive.
Is so nice. Bwipo setting it up, and Santorin trying to knock it down. Ornn ulti's gonna save him though.
If that kill goes through, look at where Vi is on the map as well. That would probably be the full turret. Now he can teleport back. So crucial that Ssumday was able to survive that.
Very surprised Team Liquid did not go a little bit harder there with both flashes available.
Yeah.
Maybe could have followed that a little bit more into the turret, found that kill. Not the case. Able to get out safely.
Ssumday is chilling, and there is a dive threat on the Seraphine, as we can see. Hansama, though, playing back, knows that is there, as the 100 Thieves overload this bottom side of the map. In his counterplay, FBI, as a result, going to get some plates. But Hansama stays alive. That's all he wanted to do.
That's one of those plays where, depending on how this game goes, you might look back at that. If they could have got that kill with Rift Herald, you start being able to potentially blow open top lane, set that Ornn so far down that the Sett can take over the side lane for the rest of the game. Because at the same time, like you just said, on the flip side, it was largely neutralized. Yes, Ssumday fell a little bit further behind, but Zeri did end up getting that extra plate.
Yeah, the fact that everyone revealed topside by Team Liquid meant Closer could just go bottom side. Look at the setup they still have afterwards as well. They have that control ward popped here. Team Liquid knows it there. They say enemy has vision. You can see the ping coming down right now. But it will just make the ability to push up bot lane a little bit harder for TL.
Good CS there for FBI. Has cashed in a call, actually, already done. Still keeping it there for the little bit of extra effects, even though he's burned through all the potential bonus gold he can cash in for. Hans, though, also farming very well. Yeah, this is what happens when you get all the plates and you pop your call.
Yeah, I mean, the Zeri win condition is definitely on track. It hasn't been... I was talking about this on the analyst desk earlier. I don't think there's a champion in the game that if they get like 2 or 3 kills of the first Rift Herald fight, you think, yeah, the game's over. Other than Zeri, especially when there's an enchanter here. So he hasn't gotten the kills yet, but he has gotten plates and he has near perfect CS while building cults. So if 100 Thieves ever gets a fight where Zeri pops off a little bit, it could be the series.
We'll see if Team Liquid can test this. I might get cut off in this point, but I was also doing some digging earlier about amount of pentakills a champion gets.
Okay.
Team Liquid are contesting this, so I'm gonna shut up.
All right, we'll talk about Zeri Pentas in a moment. It's a good, fun time, but Team Liquid are going to be here. 100 Thieves not able to reinforce. Zeri is here. Ssumday no TP. Bwipo already walking down here. It's a steal angle or nothing, but instead, it's the play on the CoreJJ. Closer with a wild ulti out of Ahri as FBI crashes the lightning, but Bjergsen's in there and the meatballs will not be felled. It's Hans with the kill and Team Liquid with the dragon.
Questionable engage there by Closer, especially with Bwipo on the way. I think he saw a mild timing where he thinks maybe we can burst someone down, but he picked the Nautilus of all champions to try and burst, and they lose the fight and the Drake.
Yeah, a little bit of a questionable decision there. Saw the charm land and is like, all right, I guess we're going on this guy, but you see just how tanky you are with the Seraphine there, the zone control. Now Team Liquid might have a chance to redive here. Did burn the Nocturne ultimate kind of awkwardly there, and during that time, Ssumday never actually committed and says just stay topside and grabbed a couple plates for himself to kind of stabilize what had been a losing setup.
Yeah, 100 Thieves can't stop that Rift Herald charge. They are winning the plate war, but Team Liquid is definitely winning the overall objective war. So still a very close game. 1,000 gold lead at 12 minutes is mostly insignificant, and you saw maybe a preview of the way these fights are going to be. If Closer goes in, if they can't one-shot someone, Swain and Seraphine are winning that extended fight until Zeri has her items, which in this fight, she definitely did not.
I think this was just a nice charm by Abba. You take that pre-chunk onto the Nautilus, you feel good about it, but then for some reason, Closer thinks that's the time to go. Yeah, just trying to get that fight out right away, and you can just see it's so hard. And then once Bjergsen's kind of in the middle of that choke point, there's no way that you're able to actually kite through onto the member that you got low to get that easy kill on the Closer and then fall back on the Dragon right after.
And Sett also moving down, so there's no way that extended fight does anything for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't get a pick there, you can't win because Ssumday cannot make it down to the bottom half of the map. But I think kind of looking back, maybe the answer is just don't do it. Feels bad to give away the Dragon. I know 100 Thieves like the fight. We certainly saw that even when they were down in the last game, but a misstep, I think we can safely say.
I was going to say, especially considering what we were just talking about the timing of when they want to pick their first significant 5v5. Felt like that was strangely early. No Mythic completed. On Abba, for example, it did not feel like a specific power spike that they were like, this is the time to go.
Team Liquid wandering on back. Again, Hans will happily sit in mid lane here, so will FBI, as they're both continuing to farm up. Do have their Mythics completed as well, and 100 Thieves are ahead in gold, but again, these Drakes, it is the blessed Hextech Soul once again.
Yeah, so 100 Thieves definitely need to secure third or fourth Drake. I think if the Hextech Soul goes over to Team Liquid on these timings, it's way too early of a Soul, and it would allow Team Liquid to take over the game. So I think 100 Thieves in a pretty tricky spot right here, needing to, in this next 2 minutes, find a way to burn like a couple crucial flashes so that their next hard engage has a chance of sticking. A straight up 5v5 at Drake would be rather difficult.
They should have the tools for it as well. You have some map mobility with Zeri being able to hop walls, obviously some pick potential with Vi and the Ahri. So if they can get up and maybe find Bwipo, he's been someone that has been targeted at times in side lanes where he's playing aggressive and the rest of Team Liquid don't have the proper setup for him.
Okay, going for second Herald. Again, very tanky, 11,500 health on this thing. It takes a while. Everyone's slowly making their way towards this objective.
Don't have the fastest mid push either. FBI and huhi just chilling, trying to get it all done. Ssumday already here on the objective, but 100 Thieves have pulled off already. Team Liquid are now here. Hans are going to join in as well.
Yeah, Nocturne ult is up, so it's, unless 100 Thieves is together, it is very difficult to stay coordinated in these fights. One thing Ssumday has to really watch out for is not giving any angles for the Sett ultimate. TL grouped up very well here.
Feels weird in these chokes with Seraphine ulti, but they're going to try and make it happen. There's the ulti on the Closer, but now they move on in. The Blast Cone actually to go back through. Herald's a little bit loose, but there's Bwipo with the Sett ulti. FBI still trying to open up. It's Abbedagge down the flank because Ssumday set them up. A double kill there for the Ahri, and FBI just wants a little bit more gold, but Bjergsen has found the claw. FBI trying to live, but Bwipo's going to put an end to that. But still the back of the fight, a triple there for Abba. And Bjergsen is just so tanky. Is he tanky enough? Bwipo as well. Still the meatball. Bjergsen flashes out of there, just mistimed on the stasis. And 100 Thieves, they win the fight.
100 Thieves actually do such a good job of finding that angle onto the backline despite the Nocturne ultimate. Abbedagge go flying in the backside, and it's still such a close fight. The solo laners from Team Liquid at this time are so hard to kill.
Swain ult is forever if the fight goes long enough. So he just outlasted them here, and I would say the Nocturne ult definitely not on an ideal target. Abbedagge waiting on the flank the whole time, so he waits for Team Liquid Bruisers to engage on one side and then finds the flank on the back side. The Ornn ultimate goes completely wide, so imagine if that thing lands, how different this fight could be. Very hard to Ornn ultimate blind because of the Nocturne ultimate. Then look at that, 3-man knockup, lines up for Abbedagge's Q, able to pick up the double kill. And this is where you think the fight is probably over in the favor of 100 Thieves, but Swain can do a lot.
Yeah, and the fact that he was able to get the pullback multiple times onto FBI, kind of chain CC him, made it so that they could actually fight it out from here. And then you're dealing with huhi, just Abbedagge and Ssumday trying to finish off Bjerg. If he gets this charm, almost flashed on top of it too.
Yeah, that was about as... It's an intermittent timing for that stopwatch. So Abbedagge tried to make it go right in the middle of them, and we're right back to this dragon. We got another fight.
Yeah, to your point, Jatt, very critical one here. Thieves gonna try and take it. Ssumday already in the front line. FBI firing away, but Bwipo frontlining. Here's Ssumday with the ulti. Let's get turned out. Only hits Bwipo. Big Seraphine ulti. Hook out of CoreJJ. We gotta make it happen. Ssumday opens up onto 100 Thieves, and they're gonna get the dragon as well. Team Liquid starting to feel it again.
This really feels like Game 5. I know it's way too early. We're 17 minutes in, but we've seen a reverse sweep with these teams before. We have 3 Drakes to 0 for Team Liquid. The fights are so close, as is this series.
Team Liquid's fans popping off in the arena. You hear them feeling the momentum going back in their favor.
And the thing is, last game, they were there. But they waited a little later in the game to start cheering because they know they don't want it to happen too early. This time, the confidence is there. Even though, again, FTX Gold, they'd only up a couple hundred gold for Team Liquid. Ignore the gold, look to the right. 3 dragons, including this one after a big team fight win.
And 100 Thieves was trying to make this fight happen before the Nocturne ultimate was up again, but they aren't quite able to pull it off. Closer can't get the original engage, and there, the Nocturne ult covers the Seraphine ult in the darkness and allows them to dump a bunch of damage on FBI.
Oh my god, so much. Yes, Hansama's the one picking up the kills, but some fat Bwipo damage in there as well. And just, it's so hard for 100 Thieves. If they don't find a flank like we saw in the Rift Herald fight, which is what made it close, if you're just trying to run through Nautilus, Swain, Sett, it's never going to work for you. And in that case, like you said, Jatt, the Nocturne ultimate making it so that 100 Thieves did not really have a clean idea of how they're supposed to engage.
And thinking about these team comps, I do think that TL has I want to call it like a mid-game comp, right?
Yeah.
Swain, Seraphine, when they're both sitting on 1 or 2 mythics, when their bruisers sitting on 1 or 2 mythics, they're at their most powerful. If Zeri can get a lot of items, that's when 100 Thieves turns on. But look, doesn't even have 2 items. I feel like FBI needs at least 3, maybe 4 to be able to take over this game. But that timer up on the left is the Hextech Soul. So you do not have enough time to get those items.
Also, side note, we kicked... Oh, hold on.
Play in the bottom side. It's Bwipo in the side lane. We've seen this one before with the TP's down on the ulti as well. Here comes Santorin, charging on in. Counterplay is there. Bjergsen's arrived. And 100 Thieves must turn tailing around the wild growth. Popped on the closer. But do Team Liquid have the chase? They do with Core. Closer's got nowhere left to run. Cornered by the rest of Team Liquid. FBI is here, but he cannot save his jungler. Closer will die.
Team Liquid punish 100 Thieves, trying to make a pick onto Bwipo in the side lane. They get that kill. They find their 6th of the game, cut that gold lead back down to even just about.
What a series, man. What a rivalry between these two teams. They've played against each other more than they have played against any other LCS team in the last 2 years. This is the 4th best of 5 they have played in the past 3 splits. 100 Thieves has won the last 2 and had the upper hand in the regular season, but Team Liquid definitely want revenge.
Yeah, I just feel like they've kind of figured out some of the drafting problems that they were having in the first series, or the first 2 games of the series.
FBI is either a genius or a madman, or perhaps both. Trying to defend this tower, cleanses away. FBI is just still going. Closer here. 100 Thieves, do you really want to pick another fight? Closer! He goes on in, but Abbedagge is going to try and make the big play happen. But again, the Swain ulti sticking TL are unkillable, and Bwipo is arriving. Here's ulti out of Ssumday. What an ulti out of Bwipo! Cuts off the re-engagement. Bwipo's getting a little bit low. Pops the W, there's the shielding, but FBI still live. But CoreJJ puts an end to it, but FBI, shield bow popped, is going to die. And Team Liquid, they just can't be soft. Some of the target. Big knock up there from Ssumday. And 100 Thieves, they're turning it around. But Ssumday's dead. It's just a brawl. An absolute bit of carnage in the river. And we'll call it even, but Abbedagge just gonna go down. CoreJJ barely gonna live. The flash used. Ahri fine, closes back in. Gonna need an oxygen tank in just a second, but Bwipo comes out on top for Team Liquid.
These fights are crazy! Bwipo with the last-second haymaker, finishing that kill off. Almost a big turnaround by Closer there with the Lulu ultimate coming in, but not able to find that kill. A back and forth fight, and we have a minute until the next one, most likely.
And I feel like these pocket picks for TL have been so huge for them. Bjergsen, Zillion, and 100 Thieves not seeming completely aware of the potential of the champion. And now, Bwipo Sett, lasting until the very end of these team fights and turning the tides. The beginning of this was ambitious, and you can see, like, it will be so hard really, really late in the game for Team Liquid to get onto Zeri. Because FBI, he's just dancing around the outside of this fight, dumping out damage over and over again. Even when they land the hook, it still takes a while.
Okay, we're back. We don't have time. Ssumday's here. They're fighting again. Everyone's going to back away. Ssumday doesn't have his ulti. It's pretty close, though.
Hextech Soul, 100 Thieves feel like they must contest this. They've lost several fights in a row, though.
Yeah, you don't want to fight, but you have to, and now he'll be forced to by CoreJJ. Ssumday gonna die before he can even pop the ulti. Gets himself out of there, but the darkness is enough. Bjergsen on a killing spree, close up. He's gonna get melted by Bwipo's ulti. And now you cannot contest for this soul.
Zeri's gonna do what she can, though. Has Lulu up still to provide the heals, or the speed and shields.
Yeah, Abbedagge has ultimate, but they're up against a smite with no other smite. This is Team Liquid getting it for sure. I almost feel like 100 Thieves shouldn't have contested that. I know it's a Hextech Soul, but there just felt like no way that they could win that fight brute force with their current items.
Are they even gonna get this? They should get the tower, but can they get out safely? Now need to run away. Bjergsen's here. FBI eating so much damage. Again, if the Zeri had more items, it might be okay. That's a good little flip there over the wall from the Nautilus ulti. They're gonna try and disengage. That TP is very ambitious. Ornn's in the middle of the fight, but in the front side, it's Abbedagge with some trouble. FBI, though, still cutting it out. Ornn ulti's there, but he can't get it done. Abbedagge pulled back and killed. FBI running as hard as he can back towards huhi, but that zone is very nice out of Bjergsen. And FBI will finally be killed.
That is a death ball. That closer barely breaks through, but he's gonna fall as well. There's just no way out.
Oh, the flash misses, the Q misses as well. A comedy of errors, a tragedy for 100 Thieves, but triumph for Team Liquid. They have the soul, they're gonna get the Baron, and they're gonna push us to game number 5. They can feel it.
Back-to-back team fights in Team Liquid's favor. They grab the soul. They punish 100 Thieves for greeting out for the turret there. Leads them perfectly to the Baron on the back end of that fight. After they finish this one off, going to be up close to 5,000 gold in the lead.
What a series, and what a playoffs we've had so far here in the LCS. 3 of 4 series have gone to 5. This would be our 4th series to do so. And 100 Thieves, they've already given up soul. They're just trying to make the best of a bad situation because they feel desperate in this game. But Team Liquid is just a ball of death. The Seraphine shields are so powerful. When you're grouped up like that, you heal for so much. They just chip away through Ssumday, and it feels like nothing 100 Thieves does sticks.
There's also been so many times they've had great CC onto Ssumday when he's trying to land these ultimates potentially. Got feared up through that one, got suplexed through the last one, and after that team fight, Bjergsen is 1 kill away.
Oh, FBI, you just got hooked on the beginning. Ulted FBI, what are you doing? In the front line, you're not going to get away, but Santorin can maybe chase you. There he goes. The blast goes not enough, and FBI is going to get shredded. Santorin's Nocturne makes it happen. Bwipo alley-oops into the enemy team, and Team Liquid so close to putting us to game 5 as Bjergsen nabs that very elusive kill. Make it a second for the man.
Graphic is 2,275 now. He's just killed Ahri. A milestone has passed. He surpasses Wild Turtle in the midst of sending Team Liquid to a 5th and final game.
Insane team fight again there, finding FBI, who almost tried to kite it out.
How many of the last 3 fights that we've seen would be different if, to Jatt's point earlier, FBI had said 3 to 5 items? Zeri would absolutely open up this game. And FBI just hasn't had the goal. He's still working on the 3rd one.
It's definitely some revisionist history, but if 100 Thieves could have sold out to get even 1 early Drake and delayed this timer so that FBI could get some items, it would be a different game. But 100 Thieves is trying to fight back because Team Liquid is putting so much pressure on. They know this is their strong point in the game, and they are not letting 100 Thieves breathe.
I appreciate the death rush attempt there by 100 Thieves to find someone face checking out of position, but the rest of Team Liquid was there the entire time. Now Abbedagge
Yeah, got the assist from the Bjergsen W. Closer here as well. There's the ulti Nocturne. Maybe one of the squishier champions, but not all that squishy as Closer just walks into the enemy. Back we go for Santorin, but here comes the rest of the squad. FBI again trying to make it happen, but I don't think they can do it. Closer's just going to die. The wild growth, a desperate one as FBI gets clipped again, this time by Bjergsen.
A nice attempt there. They're chasing them down the whole way through. Abbedagge Closer shows up first. They think it's a 2v1, but Santorin is deceptively tanky with the Stride Breaker GA up already, able to stay alive there until the rest of Team Liquid could collapse. They get that kill. Now they're going to keep pushing. They already are trying to get their first inhibitor of the game.
A nightmare game for Closer. That's his 9th death in the 27-minute game. Team Liquid gets that mid turret down with Swain, and now they go for more.
Bwipo just goes for it here. Banner flares up, but it's not gonna matter. They're just eating 100 Thieves alive. CoreJJ low, but not dead yet. Will die to Ssumday, but I don't think it matters. Bjergsen popping the ulti, going demon mode on the rest of 100 Thieves. Santorin again, the death ball just keeps on marching inevitably towards our game number 5. Team Liquid going good like across the board. They'll rack up yet another kill for Bwipo, and we have arrived.
Another Game 5 in the 100 Thieves Team Liquid rivalry. Liquid bounce back, and they're 1 game away from the reverse sweep and Worlds.
Trying to get revenge for Spring Split, where it was 100 Thieves that put them in the loser's bracket with a reverse sweep. Team Liquid are poised to do the same now, heading into Game 5.
Let's go! Exactly what I asked for. I've been hoping for a long, long weekend, gents, for the 3rd day in a row.
And this is why this rivalry is great, man. Because we, after 2 games, were like, oh, this could just be a 3-0, which is exactly what we were thinking exactly a year ago when Team Liquid was up 2-0 against 100 Thieves in the winner's bracket final. Winner goes to Worlds, winner goes to Chicago, and it all comes down to that final game.
And I feel like Bjerg has been such a big part of that turnaround. It was when they had no momentum in the series, they turned to his pocket pick Zilean. That was absolutely massive in that game. Here, they go back to one of their comps they've run a couple times with the Seraphine Swain. Obviously, a huge part of that as well. And despite the early death in lane, did not get exploited any further. Santorin recovered that a little bit by forcing the flash out of Abba, and then they became that huge death ball.
And understandably, we've thrown a lot of praise around to a lot of different players throughout this series, but what a difference for CoreJJ. CoreJJ Yuumi,
Yes.
I sleep. CoreJJ Nautilus, yeah.
I mean, CoreJJ with tools that let him go in.
Yes.
Right? Leon and Nautilus, 2 wins. Renata, Yuumi, 2 losses. And the pocket picks are also huge, right? The Zilean and the Sett. Those are the 2 big ones that I feel like have popped out. Does Team Liquid have another one of those pocket picks that they can surprise 100 Thieves with? Because I feel like 100 Thieves has been, they've actually been close in these 2 losses, but they have miscalculated how to deal with Sett as well as Zilean.
I also feel like the drafts have sometimes indexed too much into scaling or too much into early game. It feels like that mid game is the sweet spot they need to be looking for, because if you give up prio too much, suddenly you're losing all the lanes. You go all early game, you get outscaled through 1 bad fight. You know, these are so back and forth.
All right, well, we'll take a breath as well. We're ready up for Silver Scrapes. Let's head back on over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Pastrytime. We're going to game number 5, and I'm so glad that the teams were willing to take us there, because you missed out on that 5-game series last week when we were meant to have you. So while we have revenge here, and because we've got a pro player whose brain that we can pick, we're going to dive into the Team Liquid victory in just a moment and how they ultimately brought this one through to their side. But before we do that, we wanted to break down a very specific play. It does not work out in favor of Team Liquid, but it kind of sets the tone for what they would have to come back from. So Revenge, I'll hand it over to you.
I mean, honestly, it's really impressive that TL was able to fall behind as they did and still were able to come back and win fights and kind of take away that early game, or sorry, just take away that overall win condition that 100 Thieves has had this whole series, which is just fighting and winning through fighting, right? And in this play, they actually went for this top look with the Herald on the Nocturne, and they actually missed out on the kill on Ornn, as you'll see here. And if they got this kill, this would have been potentially 5 plates top and a huge breakthrough for the game. But the fact that they missed it is so bad for their bot lane and their bot side of the map, because if you see here, Swain actually got involved in this play and was not able to contest this mid wave. So now they're going to be able to load 4 people on the bot side of the map and just zone Seraphine and Nautilus from this turret, when honestly, they were doing a fine job in this matchup and not letting Zeri get too ahead. I actually think that the fact that they were able to fall behind early like this, because of plays like this, and also the gank mid, and still come back and beat 100 Thieves in their own game, in a sense, is a really defining thing for this series.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a 600 gold lead at this point. Without getting that kill, Ssumday's going to be able to teleport back in, salvage a lot of this wave. Now, that TP may play into the game in just a bit because we'll get to a dragon fight in a moment where he's not able to join, and 100 Thieves, unfortunately, isn't able to take the victory there. But to your point, what it affords 100 Thieves to be able to do on the bottom side of the map, particularly playing through the lane that they're always happy to play through, it sets up a little bit of a comeback that TL has to mount. We're going to make our way back over to the desk here, rejoin everybody else to talk through all of this. But I do want to dive straight into that next play that we were talking about. That is to a degree attached to this. A setup around the dragon, 100 Thieves feeling like they need to make something happen here, Kobe. They will pull the trigger on Nautilus.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And this is another illustration of a point where we keep bringing up, and we've seen it in all the leagues. LCK, LPL, LEC, stop first picking this Vi because you will get countered, and especially versus Team Liquid. I want to congratulate Team Liquid for properly punishing one of these early Vi picks with all of these counter initiation champions. Boom, Bjergsen hits you with the Swain. Great, now you're a guaranteed engaged Vi going into the Swain composition. Now you're guaranteed going into a Bwipo Sett. This champion wants you to engage on it. And there were multiple times here where like Vi is like, oh, I'm gonna flash ult in on the support. Yeah, that's one thing. But also into this team that has Sett there, that has Swain there, they literally thrive and win the game off getting engaged upon. And it's a really good counter draft here from Team Liquid answering that early priority.
Yeah, and in that play specifically, like the one thing that wasn't shown, or at least you could see it in the mini-map, was the fact that, hey, with the advantage that Sett was having in the top lane of the matchup, and there was no TPs on both sides, felt like 100 Thieves probably just didn't expect that Sett was going to be there for that fight.
Yeah, and honestly, it was a huge miscalculation by 100 Thieves because they definitely didn't need... Like, I mean, they could have also brought Ornn as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this is a different fight, not the one that I think we just saw, but...
Yeah, you can talk about
I mean,
that,
this is actually just really, really good team fighting, especially by Bwipo and Santorin as well.
Yeah,
the timing of the Nocturne ulti was huge. Zeri couldn't actually see the Seraphine ulti, and Ornn couldn't properly angle his ulti. And Bwipo with a huge flash W to just win the fight. Like, this was just really, really good fighting by TL.
Bwipo has come alive in this series, by the way. Game over game, he is stepping up, and I think, Emily, I want to bring you in on the conversation about how Team Liquid's creative picks, as we talk about the counter, the counter strats and the drafts, is really starting to warp this series as the wins seem to be coming from that, and they're. 100 Thieves looks a little lost now about how to approach team fights for the team that we normally laud as one of the best team fighting teams in the league.
Well, and one thing that Revenge brought up as we were watching, like having a Nocturne, regardless of what people thought, because I think the Nocturne and specifically was the pick that people were kind of like, I don't know where this fits. But it changes the fabric of the way you team fight, right? Because if that ultimate is up, you kind of always have to worry about it. And then the rest of their composition, as we already said, counters everything that this Vi wants to do.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, Team Liquid, the other thing is that this team has done this before. So that's why I'm like, this is the worst team to do this against because they actually love playing these like sustained ball comps that will just run at you.
Yeah.
And then when you can turn out the lights for the Nocturne, what it does is make the Zeri unable to actually be the biggest strength of 100 Thieves because you have to worry about the Seraphine ult bouncing off of you, these skill shots that are coming out from the Swain as well, like these random ones when you turn off the Nocturne ultimate, the ball comp is moving at you and you get this CC flying at your face and your backline can't play it.
I mean, TL was literally like, hey, we know you guys want a team fight and you're kind of besting us for most of the series. Let's just make you not. Like, and honestly, it's such a creative adaptation in this series. Like, I know Santorin is historically actually a pretty good Nocturne player. I know that it's one of his favorite champions actually, like just to play even before in top lane. So when I saw him pick it, I wasn't surprised, but I just didn't think initially the ramifications it would have on their fighting, right? Which is literally how 100 Thieves is winning a lot of these games. And yeah, they look completely disjointed in all of these fights.
And I'm going to bring it back to Bwipo because when we talked about that top lane matchup, a lot of us favored Ssumday just because of A, how consistent he's been, B, and I mean, he's been like, especially in some of these fights, like he's been almost the difference maker in fights that looked initially lost for 100 Thieves. But it's been great to see Bwipo pulling out these picks that we talked about, how we were like, oh, we're not sure how this is going to fit into what the rest of TL want to do. But he's been a difference maker in the past 2 games with the Urgot and then now with the Sett.
I love that you brought it back to Bwipo in the top lane and the report card because Raz, correct me if I'm wrong, it was you on the report card who said, while I'm giving the edge still to Ssumday, I think Bwipo is the person who will be the X factor in the series. And it's seeming to work out exactly that way.
The Sett was the pick, and it feels really good. And I think that looking at the fact that 100 Thieves, now they've chosen blue side, so they're going straight back at it.
Staying on it.
Staying right on it. I think the Vi pick will not be a factor.
I'll lose my mind if they pick that in the first 3.
I'm ready for it. You know what? Now I want to see the pick.
First pick blue side, Jatt just loses his mind.
But the idea, basically what Revenge said, I like 100%. I think the composition hit every point that Team Liquid needed, which is incredibly strong team fighting, really nipping what 100 Thieves are great at in the bud, but also making Zeri really difficult to have fights. Because not only is there great dive with the Nocturne and Sett, but also the range that Seraphine ends up providing makes it difficult for her to even pilot in team fights, right? How do you approach fights in those circumstances? So I think the draft will change pretty large here.
I mean, it's also going to come down right to comfort at the end and what they decide. Like, we all thought that Zillion was going to be banned on 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
right? But as I mentioned, like, these players are going to give their opinions. They're going to play through their confidence, and that's why I think this Game 5 draft, I mean, Game 5 drafts in general are always so interesting to me because I feel like both teams always end up getting some version of their comfort, something they want.
Yes.
And the game is always like super even, and it always comes down to like one mistake, and I hope we see something like that.
Boom. There you have it. It's all laid out in front of us. One of these teams is going to book their trip to Worlds with a win right here. Also a place in Championship Weekend hanging in the balance. We're going to Game 5. Cue up the Silver Scrapes. We'll be right back.
Herald's a little bit loose, but there's Bwipo with the Sett ulti. FBI still trying to open up. It's Abbedagge down the flank. Ssumday set them up. A double kill there for the Ahri, and FBI just wants a little bit more gold, but Bjergsen has found the claw. FBI trying to live, but Bwipo's going to put an end to that.
Go Zeri, everyone. Going Zeri, going Zeri. She's dead.
Yeah, no,
bye. Knock up. Go and fight together, we're going to fight together. I think we can win.
And now they go for more.
Bwipo just goes for it here. Baron flares on, but it's not going to matter. They're just eating 100 Thieves alive.
I hit the ground in Chicago to learn all it has to offer LCS fans attending the summer finals. Knowing it's a proud sports town, I knew I'd have to blend in with the locals.
I'm here with stuff I brought from LA. It's not fitting the part, so I need you to help me pick out sort of the white wardrobe for the rest of this trip.
At first, I bit off more than I could chew.
It's a lot.
Yep.
Thankfully, the staff was there to reel me back in.
Oh yeah.
Are we looking?
That's definitely
yes.
It's perfect.
Dressed for success, it was time to hit the epicenters of Chicago sports. But how much does Chicago know about esports?
Yeah, I mean, it's Chicago, so we don't see a lot of winners out here lately, so that'll be something new.
All right, well, we got someone who's probably coming this weekend whose name is just Danny. Does that inspire fear? Is that like a guy you'd be afraid to face off against?
Honestly, I'd probably be a little bit more scared of FLICKR than Danny, for sure.
That's wise. How's your recovery from ribbon maining gone for you?
Been healthier, less salt.
From old to new, beginner to expert, the city is ready to host esports once again. But before I could say goodbye, there was one last thing I had to suss out. Does Chicago know Chicago?
So tell me, which ocean is this?